Once we get through our own zoning analysis and we've satisfied the client on the basic design issues, typically we then need to go in front of one of the town boards to have our project vetted and hopefully approved. It's really important then to think about what is the presentation style that makes the most sense. So the first thing you need to look at is, are you in a conservation commission zone of area of concern? Are you in a historic district? Do you have to go in front of the zoning board of appeals, or do you have to go in front of any other board that might have jurisdiction? For example, if you have a swimming pool, oftentimes that is an approval that the planning board grants. So you need to figure out who you have to see to get your project approved. So typically a conservation commission is going to look for an illustrative site plan, a landscape plan, a drainage plan, all with topography as well. The Historic District Commission would be looking for floor plans and elevations to scale, and perhaps renderings or a model if need be. And the Zoning Board of Appeal will be concerned about dimensional setbacks and height, and also concern of abutters. Many members of these various boards really come from different walks of life, and most of them are not professionals. So you really need to recognize that you don't want to talk up to them or talk down to them. You need to find the middle ground, and you need to recognize all of these boards basically also are very interested about what your neighbors might say about your project. Some more than others, but certainly the Zoning Board of Appeal, most typically, if you're there, you're looking for a special permit for something. So the concern of the neighbors becomes very, very paramount and important in the presentation. So when we do this type of presentation, particularly say in front of a historic district commission or a planning board, we tend to use super realistic renderings that really capture the essence of what we're trying to do, that defines plant material, landscape, materials on the house, and also really represent, rather than a straight elevation, what the reality of this house would be and its impact on the property or the abutters. If neighbors don't like a project, particularly at the Zoning Board of Appeals, where you're looking for a special permit, the board does not have to grant you that, and the neighbors really have significant standing, usually within 300 feet of your project. In developing a presentation, particularly on a large house, it's really important that the perception of scale is downplayed, that the project fits the site and the context, and it feels at ease with the land. One of the things that I always say is, if you understand all of the concerns between the Conservation Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Board, or the Historic District Commission, if they're involved, and if you can explain how you've addressed all of those issues and concerns that are in their purview, you will be the most important person in the room, and you will have a successful project. Many of the other things that an architect needs to be expert in to be able to dominate or certainly steer the project in the right direction is really understanding the underlying zoning, really be the good real estate attorney, understanding the context of other houses around it, what's the scale and size and floor area ratio, the amount of land that the house occupies based on the size of the lot. So being able to talk to those issues, being able to talk about on a zoning board, the height of the house, the setbacks that are being provided, those are really important pieces. The Board of Health might want to know how many bedrooms are in the house. Is your septic system designed in a way to accommodate all of those rooms? These are things that Conservation and the Board of Health would be looking for in a project like this. So again, there's multiple parts of the development process that you really need to become quite expert in to be able to be the most important person in the room. Unfortunately, most architecture schools, if not all of them, really do not prepare the young architects for this kind of knowledge and experience. And we're working on that, as professionals, trying to teach people out of school how to be responsive, how to understand these issues, and how to present your project in a reasonable and concise way that really addresses the issues and concerns that people would have. In this project, we are proposing to develop a brand new wing on the house. We're proposing some significant dormers and redetailing the front of the house. And what's important for the board to recognize, or the boards to recognize, is that we're preserving an original old house. This will always become the dominant element architecturally in volume and scale, and that the new wing really is a celebration of some of the other architectural details that are already on the house, such as emulating the gable dormers, using similar materials and details, similar kinds of windows with multi-pane glass, and then really creating this portico that is a celebration of the greater land, where people actually drive through the portico, and the carriage house, which is attached to the house, is hidden from the general motor court. So it helps break down the scale of the house in a way that seems very reasonable. What we're trying to illustrate architecturally is that the textures and materials and the overall scale, which is really the most important element in this drawing, is always secondary to the dominant element of the house. And the original house always is clear that it's the dominant element, including the use of the big stone chimney to help anchor one end of the house. And all the other wings step back from the primary facade, and there's always basically stepping down in character and scale. We also need to be able to talk very clearly and succinctly about the ground plane. People can be concerned about water drainage and runoff. How are we dealing with that? Do we have catch basins on property? How we're preserving existing rock outcroppings and topography on the plan? How does the house sit within the context of the existing topography? These are things that we need to talk about to be effective in this approval process. There's a number of ways in which you can really control the meeting, which you really need to do, because there may be neighbors and abutters may be speaking against your project. There may be some preconceived ideas from the board members before you even get up to make your presentation. You may have a lot of things going against you. So you need to recognize where things stand before you get up there, and realize that if you want to be successful and win them over, you need to be able to address those issues and concerns that each of these parties may have. So that's really important. And you need to be convincing, and you need to be articulate, and you need to be able to speak the language that they understand. Many architects, particularly those who may have gotten advanced degrees, start to use a lot of architectural terminology that lay people don't understand. That's not in your best interest. You really want to speak clearly and talk to the people face to face and say, I understand you've got a concern about this, but here's how we've addressed it. Or here's what we're doing to actually improve your view and vista, as an example, from where the existing house is. If we're lowering a wing that sits up much higher and you now have a better view and vista from your house across the way up on the hill, that's a positive thing. So many people can't read plans, particularly lay people. And so we tend to use these very photorealistic renderings to really put people at ease and understand that what we're trying to do is appropriate not only for our client, but also for the neighborhood and the neighbors and the boards and the community. Sometimes, depending on the scale of the project, we may have an architectural model. We do a lot of visualization today with basically creating mini movies of traversing down a driveway, having the house unfold, be able to walk around the house in a video, or even inside to outside. So technology allows us today to really make super realistic presentations where people can really totally understand what you're trying to do. The best thing you could do as a young architect is really go to meetings with your principal partner, learn from the elder statesmen, if you will, about these kinds of things, and then slowly back into the presentation on your own. If you're a younger architect and you're just starting to get comfortable with the idea of making your presentations to the public as opposed to a jury crit in architecture school, it certainly wouldn't hurt to give it a try amongst other people in your office and really try to deal with all the issues that may be coming to you in the formal meeting. So I think practice is helpful, and being able to be clear and concise is important, and be able to speak to the audience that you're presenting to and address the issues that they are concerned about.